Welcome. This is Corey Angelot. This is the End of Slavery Summit. I'm here with Axel Dahi. He is an anarchist from Italy, currently living in Liverpool, United Kingdom. He's also been in several other places around the world. I am here on the internet, this is what he says, to spread the truth in exposing the system of slavery that we are currently living in. Don't believe everything I say. Always do your research. Fear is an illusion, and freedom is for all beings on this planet. Government is slavery, and we're here to talk about exactly that and break it down. So let's talk about that: freedom, anarchy, and natural law. Where do you want to start with this?
Thank you for having me for for this summit. Yeah, I would say that we're living in a system of slavery, and people need to understand that government there is not such a thing as authority vested in human being. Okay, it's an illusion. It does not exist. Okay, it's an illusion, and people need to understand this. Okay, the very word government comes from the Latin word gubernare mente, which means to govern the mind. Okay, it has obviously two connotation. It has the negative and the positive. In this case, he used as the negative connotation because these dark occultists, these Satanists, the rulers who run this planet, okay, in order to control people, they need to first control the mind in order to control the emotion and the action of the behaviors of the people. So they do it through mind control techniques. And one of the first, if they want make people believe that we are actually a bunch of children that need mommy and daddy government to rule over us. So we're not gonna be responsible grown adults and govern ourselves and live in a true state of freedom. Okay, they don't want us. They don't want this because these people are primary psychopath control freaks who govern, who want to control everyone, no matter what. Okay, and they need to understand that the power structure is very complex, and the way out of this is understanding the principles and all the principles of natural law and its principles and its philosophy and apply it in the world. And we have to align our behaviors to natural law, to objective morality. Okay, many people will say, "Oh no, that looks like a cult," no, 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 folks. That is the truth. What I'm saying. Okay, and yeah, and to whenever we understand natural law and we're aligning our behavior to it, then we can manifest a state of freedom, which is going to be anarchy. Okay, anarchy comes from the Greek word anarchos. An means without, archons means masters, therefore without rulers, no masters, no slaves. So this is the ideal and society that we want for everyone, for every beings on the planet Earth, including animals. Okay, it's not just for humans, also for animals. Okay, we want heaven on earth on this planet, and currently we don't have that. Unfortunately, we are enslaved. We have government. We have rulers telling us what to do every bloody day. Every day we have to do this. We have to pay taxes. We need we need permits to do anything. You know, for driving, to have a firearm, for anything. That's slavery. You're not free as long as you have someone to that tells you anything to do, that tells you everything that you have to do in order to get something. You're not free. Okay, you're living in state of coercion and duress every day. We have the police and the military that they are here to enforce the dictates of the dark ruling class, and people need to understand all this. That's why I'm here to expose all the system.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, you're bringing knowledge to people who were previously either ignorant of it, right, or they didn't have it. Um,
Absolutely.
would you say more people are ignorant of it, or that they don't have this knowledge of just basic morality? Is it not the fact that they own themselves, that somebody else shouldn't be responsible for their own lives?
Absolutely, yeah. And people, unfortunately, most people who are waking up to this garbage scamdemic, okay, they don't go all the way through. They're just scratching the surface of the conspiracy. Okay, they're focusing too much on political and economical machination. When in point of fact, it goes beyond that. Okay, it goes beyond to the occult principles of natural law. Okay, and yeah, they need to understand that we don't need government at all. The government is not legitimate. He has no legitimacy to exist because it's based on coercion and violence, and it's based on the idea that someone is master over you, that you don't own your body. Therefore, you're not a sovereign being. If you have a system where you have people with the dark suit and tie, the politician and the bankers do telling you what to do every day, okay, how you live your life, what to put in your body, and you cannot consider yourself free, and this is what we need to tell people. We need to you need to tell people that morality is objective. There is a standard way put by creation itself that 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 governs the consequences of behaviors that we do and condone. Okay, you cannot do whatever you want. Freedom doesn't mean it means you can do whatever you want. No, it means you can do be harmful, non-harmful behavior without restraint, without being restrained by anyone. That's what
Mm,
people need to understand. Doesn't mean you can do whatever you want. You can do harmful behavior that cause harm to other sentient being. And very sadly, we're living in a state on this planet that too few people know this. I see it every day where I work. People are very ignorant, very ignorant. They don't know. They're more relativists. Okay, I see it every day, which is very sad. Okay, and unfortunately, we're heading into a global dictatorship, and it's gonna be chaotic in a few months and few years. Okay, very unpleasant for
mm.
many people to see.
Yeah, if they don't
Yes,
understand this knowledge, right, or kind of really grasp it for themselves, and it's pretty simple, right? Is it not like just to kind of
yeah,
grasp these ideas? We're not asking for people to analyze it in detail and know everything about it, right? Because we're saying, it's an
exactly.
occult study. They could, if they wanted to, they can look in detail and sort of learn a lot about psychology. I feel like how people's mind works and why people do what they do, because that's how, like you said, we understand how the world manifests is like by understanding why people do what they do, how it is that our actions manifest, like what effects do we get to what we're doing. So that is really really cool. Like you really summed up a lot of different subjects for us, which is like really powerful.
Yeah,
And some people might be questioning some things because they never heard this before. This the whole idea of objective morality or this natural authority per se, or even just the idea that there are rules but not rulers, right? When you have freedom.
exactly, exactly. Yeah, yeah, we have rule. There are rules. The rules of creation put by the creator, the true creator, by the true God and creator of the universe. Okay, there are rules that apply through with beings with holistic intelligence like us. Okay, that says we cannot harm any sentient beings. Okay, don't ever initiate harmful behavior to any sentient beings, because you creating enormic karmic debt by doing that all over time, and it works in an aggregate. society. Okay, that's the karmic law. You want to call it natural law. Okay, and there are rules that we are bound to as a species. Okay, we can't just do whatever we want. Just wake up, meaning yeah, we don't have rulers, then we can do whatever we want. We can smash everything, we can steal from other people, that will lead to chaos, and people gonna be frightened, and they're gonna ask for someone to control everyone. That's how you go back to square one. You know what I'm saying? If people align their behaviors to the standard moral laws of creation, rules, which is objective morality, things are going to be different. People are going to treat each other with kindness, respect. Everybody basic needs is going to be met. There won't be any suffering, unnecessary suffering for anyone. Yes, we're gonna still strive, obviously, because we're human. Okay, but there won't be no suffering, no pain, for anyone, and we can truly achieve amazing things. And finally, humanity can become a type one or type two civilization. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
With high level technology and expand our consciousness. And I'm not saying that's gonna be easy. We got to do it through knowledge and educate the youth properly and teach them morality. Okay, this is this is our job to do, and yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, so sort of like the rules are natural law then, right?
Yeah, absolutely, natural law. Yeah,
Yeah,
the
so and then the rulers is yourself, right? Because only
the
you can rule
rules.
yourself, and you have to listen to those rules because
Exactly.
they're you're bound to them. You can't escape them. They're universal
Yeah.
and timeless. So hopefully people kind of can get a sense of what we're trying to say here when we say objective morality or natural law. These two are obviously leading to the same understanding, right? Which is that we should
Yeah.
not do harm. Just to emphasize, that is what we mean when we say, right action versus wrong action,
Yeah.
that which does cause harm. And that's because of
Exactly.
the world condition we get, right? Like you said, chaos
Yeah.
or order. That's how we know if our
Yeah.
actions are aligned to natural law or our actions are with the knowledge of it, the knowledge of how
One
order
hundred percent.
happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's interesting. So if we kind of bring in like slavery into the equation here, I would say it's kind of like the opposite of freedom, right? I would say it's the
Yeah.
opposite of no rulers and rules. So would it
Mm.
be rulers and no rules?
Well, when it comes to slavery, people, unfortunately, because of the mind control, they don't know what slavery is. They have a very wrong idea and about what slavery is. Whenever people hear slavery, they're thinking about black slavery, what happened in America 100 years ago, which is slavery. That's overt slavery. Okay, throughout history, humanity has been an enslaved species. Okay, through coercion, through the ruling class. Okay, we have the so-called uh, concept of authority in the ancient past called kingship, and one being that rules everyone, and everybody has to excuse me has to agree and obey the commands of this being, this ruler. Otherwise, you're gonna be punished. That's what slavery is. Okay, and currently the system of slavery we live in is a covert slavery. It's hidden. People don't know they are enslaved. They have the illusion of freedom. You know what I'm saying? And when you have slavery, you have chaos. Okay, people will say, "Oh, we're not living in a chaotic world." Yeah, if you think that you're a sick person, okay, you're not paying attention. We're living in a chaotic world. Okay, look at people rushing to do anything to
Mhm.
get ahead of everyone. Me, 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 me every day. They don't give a shit about anybody else. Okay, that's what Satanism is. Okay, and people don't want to hear that. Okay,
Mm.
and yeah, slavery is a satanic system that is immoral into creation, and it shouldn't exist anywhere in the universe. Period.
Yeah.
Okay, it's an immoral condition, and unfortunately, sadly, people don't want to hear that. They don't understand when you tell them that you are a slave by the way you living, by the way you thinking. Okay, you have a satanic mindset. That's what most people don't want to hear, and we are here to explain this to people. It's not gonna be easy, but we try to plant some seeds in their heads, their
Right.
minds.
Right. Well, I mean, slavery existed for thousands of years, and that's what I say to people. It's like, how do you expect it to just go away, all of a sudden at once in
Exactly.
all its forms too? Like not just chattel slavery, which is only the one form we ended and still haven't really
Exactly.
ended. Like people don't
Exactly.
understand why we ended it. We did it for moral reasons, morality. Like that's the whole reason why we did it. So can't we apply that morality to a lot of other things? I mean, if we look at the abolitionists of the past, they were talking
Yeah.
about many forms of slavery. They were defining slavery. They were criticizing political slavery, the government. And so many people would
Exactly.
say to me, like, well, what you're talking about is not slavery. Oh, that's not what slavery is. I'm like, well, what about the abolitionists? They literally were the ones who fought slavery. They're literally proving me
Exactly.
correct in their own words.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And you said you refer to yourself as an abolitionist, right? You told me that before the.
Yeah. Absolutely. To end human slavery, because quite frankly, it's uh, it's immoral. We can't live. Look, people need to understand is the system. You need to understand the social engineers are they are very intellectual people. Okay, they know how to manipulate the human mind because they consider themselves psychologists, ancient psychologists. That's what Satanists are. Okay, they know how to they know how to manipulate the mind. They know how to they understand the principle of natural law, the first principle of natural law, which is mentalism. Okay, everything comes from the mind. The universe is mind. Okay, like in the mystery school tradition, into the hermetic principles, they talk about this, and then they condition people to think that slavery that slavery is just uh, over when somebody you are chained and you are restrained physically to do anything. That's what slavery is. When you point to fast folks, there are many ways of slavery.
Yeah.
Okay, the system of slavery you're living now is slavery. We are the only species that we have to pay for everything. You have to pay for everything, for food, basic necessity. When you point to fire, it should be free for everyone. It should be abundant for everyone. Nobody should be suffering in the street. I see people, homeless people. It makes me angry every time I want. I always
Me
give them
too.
some because it's not possible to have human being living on the street with no food, no basic needs, and it's frustrating. And
Yeah.
people don't care. They don't understand this. They care about themselves. They they don't give a damn about anybody else.
Yeah.
And they are de facto Satanists. They don't understand this. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? You have to pay for everything. You have to pay taxes, which is another form of slavery. Okay, taxation is basically when somebody is trying to get your labor, the fruits of your labors by force. Okay, which is slavery by coercion against your own free will. And when that's what taxation is, okay, let's not euphemize it. Okay, it's slavery. Period. I don't care if you don't like it. That's what taxation is. Okay, we shouldn't pay taxes at all, and we are the only species you have to we are, I mean, we can't do anything unless we have to go to the government to open a business. We have to get a permit to, for example, in the United States, you have a gun. I know you probably own a firearm, and you have to get a permit to have a gun. Your natural right to own a gun, you have to have a permit, which is unbelievably immoral. Okay, that's slavery. Have a permit to own anything. That's your natural sovereign right to own a firearm, to have a business. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, to own a house. You don't need property tax or all this nonsense to own anything. And that's what slavery is, okay?
Hmm.
When the claiming of your ownership, that's what slavery is. The claim of your body by duress, okay? That's what slavery is, and people need to understand that.
Yeah, and when you mention, Satanism, a lot of people might be unaware of this. Just for some context, if people think that you're wrong or you don't know what you're talking about, they can literally just go to the Church of Satan's website. They can
Exactly,
see what
exactly,
they believe in, and you're right. It's moral relativism, which is the idea that there is no right or wrong, and that essentially you can just do pretty much whatever you want instinctually out of ego, and that's not a position of love or care for fellow human beings. Like you said, like if I see
exactly.
someone who doesn't have much or is like, on the streets and asking for something, it's like I really question. I'm like, I sit down with myself essentially, and I'm like, is this person like, do they really need help? Do they need something? Like, because a lot of people will either ignore them or think, oh, they're there just to, try to make money, or they're there for some sort of scheme or something. And it's like I sit there, it's like, okay, are
Exactly.
they might actually genuinely need help. There's people out there. I mean, the world's getting tough. The prices are rising and things are happening. So there's definitely signs that people can find in their own life that things are going pretty crazy. And like when you mention, there's psychopaths or there's people who really don't care about people. I mean, think of the slave master who is doing things for his own benefit, right? Who's using slaves for his
Exactly.
own benefit on the plantation, but he's disregarding the morality of the situation. He's completely ignoring it. Like, oh, okay, well, for the
Yeah.
greater good, for society, for economics, for my benefit, we can have slaves. It's like, so they disregard morality. They leave it out of the equation. And I see that often when we talk
Exactly.
about politics, is like we don't talk about morality. It's quite interesting.
That, like I said, that's the problem of the freedom movement. People are dumb. I don't know if I can curse, but
It's fine.
I'm not gonna curse. Okay, but dumb people in the freedom movement. Okay, I see it every day in the so-called alternative platforms. People don't still buying into the Hegelian dialect, not understanding that politics is a garbage garbage show. Okay, it's a crap show. Okay, it's a theater. They don't understand the your masters who run this planet. They give you the right wing and the left wing political parties. Okay, they control both. It's an Hegelian dialect. It's there to get people to still buy into the belief in authority and to be controllable. Period. To ask help and protection from government. That's it. Is to get them to buy slavery. That's what politics is. Politics is fake. All the politicians, including Donald Trump, Joe Biden, whatever, they're all the same. They're all puppets. They all shake hands behind the scene when they turn off the cameras. Okay, in the election, the debate is all fake, is scripted. Your master, they select who is gonna be your president, your slave master. All right, and you need to understand this shit. Quite frankly, put that thing in your head. We are in the year 2022, and people still don't understand that politics is fake. There are no white hats. There is no QAnon. There
Yeah.
are no politicians that care about you. All the governors, they think they want to give you freedom. They're all Satanists. They are wolves in sheep wolving. sheep clothing. Okay, they're not there for your benefits. They don't give a damn about you. They're there to enslave you. Okay, need to put that thing in your head. Okay, I'm tired to see people, so-called awakened people, buying into politics. They still believe it. The right wing are the good guys and the left wing are the communist garbage, which they are the communist garbage. Nobody is saying that. Nobody's denying that. But thinking that there's the right wing are the good guys, when in point of fact they're same as the left wing. Okay, they're playing again in dialects and mind control through you. Okay, your masters, they can achieve a global dictatorship through Nazism, so-called far right wing, or they can do it through left wing, through far left wing polarization. Okay, doesn't matter. They the ones who gave you these ideologies. Okay, you need to understand they run everything. Every institution on planet Earth is controlled by these people. Period. They gave you this system of slavery. Okay, it's not that they just infiltrated. They gave you all this. It's a proxy. Everything is inverted. That's what Satanism is the inversion of good, of creation. Okay, these people worship death, slavery, chaos. Sorry, everything negative,
Mm.
evil. That's what these people worship. Okay, and they give you all this garbage, this nonsense of politics. They control the religion institution. This is another things that many people in the freedom movement are not talking about. That the three major religions are based astro theology. Nobody wants to hear that. You hear a lot of religionists say, "Oh no, my religion is the best one, and your religion is corrupted. But mine went through all fine." Okay, that's it. Like little children. Okay.
Society has went so long, with this institution and slavery and politics, and people have been partaking in the same games for hundreds of years, and yet,
Exactly.
like you said, like people are still doing it, and they still haven't realized that it's still resulting in chaos every time we do it, and every time it happens, we have democide, the number one cause of unnatural death, and it just keeps occurring over and over again. It's like at some point in time, we have to just reflect and be like, can we end this cycle of just, never ending problems? But it's our fault, right? It's not the fault of people in power. It's our fault because we give them power, right? And we see
Exactly.
this in history.
Absolutely.
So it's interesting,
Absolutely.
like the
Yeah, go ahead.
Hegelian dialectic, left versus right. Like it's like, oh well, this side sounds better. Oh, this one appeals to me. It really speaks to me. Like, oh, that's what they want. They want people
Yeah,
invested in the game. Otherwise, they won't play the game.
exactly. Yeah. They want people to play ball with the state, with the system. This is what people understand. And the people in the freedom movement, quite frankly, when I see them, all I see is the ignorati. They're ignorant. They're very ignorant. They don't know. They're not even awakened to the political level or economical level. They don't know how the politics really works. They don't know this. I see them in beach shoot, brand YouTube. If you look at the comment section, people still believe in religion. They still believe in politics, government, and they say they want freedom. They still believe, oh, I hear some people say that Hitler was the good guy, they buying to psyops. A lot of nonsense. They don't understand that your master are giving you all this, who own you, because you are owned, unfortunately. By the way you behaving, you are owned. I don't even like to call them masters, because they are the masters of the bottom of the garbage bin. Okay, that's
True.
what they are. But unfortunately, we have to give them credit. Look at what people are doing. Still to this day, even though they dropped the restriction here in England, some people are still wearing face masks in the shops. Can you believe that? Yeah, people, they want to give power to the system. When in point of fact, you have the power. Okay, you have internal power. You need to activate your mind through knowledge and put that knowledge through into real care and through wisdom, which is action. That's what the trivium is. And you should understand all of this. People don't want to hear that. They want to. They're like children. They're very scared because they want to be the system made them believe that they need to seek power externally. They don't want to internalize their own power. Okay, say I got this. Okay, yes, I have to struggle a little bit, strive a little bit, but I got this. They want people to ask for government to do anything. When we come to fight, government is not there to help you. It's there to fucking enslave you. Okay, period.
Mhm.
That yeah.
And it's just people that run the government, right? And it's people that we think have some sort of authority. And I think that's the issue, right? Because it's not like the government is just
Exactly.
people in a bunch of buildings. So what's the issue with government? What makes it slavery? Well, it's the actions, right? It's what
The
makes it
action, yeah.
government is the monopoly on violence, as you said, right? Like the fact that it adds coercion and nothing else. Doesn't add any knowledge, doesn't add any resource to society. All it does is transfer resources, if anything, and steal from other people to provide for other people. I mean, does that sound moral? I mean, it's like for the greater good, for the collective, the individual needs to be violated. It's like, what? By that justification, I can justify many things.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with what you said, Corey. Great analysis. Yeah, government is not moral, it's immoral, period. I explain very simple to people how government works. They think they are God on earth, okay, people in government, and even though they're puppets behind the power structure, okay, behind the people who run everything, they think they are God, okay. We dictate the rule, okay. We write our our laws and decrees on a piece of paper that are worth nothing. You can use that to shower your ass, okay? And people are obey to it. And if you don't obey the law, we're gonna send our dogs of the police and the military and beat you and do violence unto you. And if you don't, that's what happened with government. If you don't obey them, they're gonna send the henchmen, the strong arm, to punish you and put you on jail. And people think this is normal. You're full of fucking shit if you believe that, quite frankly. Okay? And you're a coward if you believe that. That's why do you think they gave you firearms, guns? There are no one can protect you from any danger, only you. Okay? A maximum a militia of the people can help you to protect you and your rights. Otherwise, you are responsible for your life. No one else can. This is what people need to understand.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like self-ownership. If I own something, I need to just be responsible for it. Like anything, if it's a car or a computer, like if I don't take care of it, then it's gonna turn into trash, garbage in,
Yeah,
garbage out. The human condition is
absolutely.
programmable. So yeah, so what if somebody is listening, they're like, well, I like the idea of freedom. I like the idea of, creating a free world based on natural law. But why does it have to be anarchy? Why does it have to be completely no rulers? I mean, we're still saying there's rules. We're still saying there's going to be people who, have their own businesses and stuff. So, why is it that people don't understand this? Is it hard to understand what real freedom is? Like, is it something that people fear? um, Speak to that minarchist or that libertarian, that person who's like, I just want a small, limited government.
I mean, the minarchists, the so-called libertarian, are still slave. They're still slavery supporters. You need to go all the way. Period. Okay, go all the way, which is anarchy. Okay, there is no such a thing as freedom with a little bit of slavery. There's not. Either you have freedom with no rulers and no slaves, or you have slavery. Period. Doesn't matter how little it is. It's like saying, oh, taxation is slavery, like we talked about a few minutes ago. You pay 10% of taxes. You think you're still free, you're still good for you. You're still enslaved. You pay 10% of taxation of taxes. Still slavery. Is it 2% enough for you? Most people will say, wow, 2% of taxes, that would be great for me, but you still fucking enslaved. Okay,
Mm.
you're not free. 0% of taxation is freedom. You have no one is gonna coerce you to get the fruit of your labor out of you through duress and violence. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? You still 0%. You need to go all the way. There is no such a thing as 10% of taxation and you're free. You're still a slave. You still pay taxes. 0%, period. No taxation at all. You need to go all the way. You know what I'm saying? This is what the minarchists, the libertarian, need to understand.
Mm.
And the simple reason is people feel true freedom because they're little chicken shit cowards and children. Okay, they're scared us of any danger because they still have the mindset of a little child. They want to be protected by mommy and daddy, and they don't want to grow up psychologically. Say, I'm gonna pull up my big boy pants, a big girl pants, and say, I want to say, I got this. I'm gonna do it by myself. Okay, that's the reason why they don't want to be responsible for their own action, and this is what most human beings fear the most. Period.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what
Responsibility.
most people don't want to hear. The responsibility for themselves. I currently where I live, no, I live by myself. Okay, in a shared house with some roommates. I pay my rent, my part. I do everything that I need to do, work, online courses, everything by myself. There are no my mommy and daddy helping me. Okay, you have to take care of yourself.
Right.
You need to learn all of this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I think
Unfortunately, yeah,
yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of people who also like don't have families, and that's also like problematic too, though.
yeah,
Like, you know what I mean? It's just
absolutely, yeah,
the fact that they don't as well, because they can have that and they can have that support structure, and those families are there to nurture them from the beginning to teach the child how to reason for themselves, right? How to grow up in the world. Instead of just being thrown out
exactly,
into the world and having to be a work slave or constantly have to go with society and learn how to kind of find your way. Sometimes that might be really harsh for people. It might be really confusing. They might go through many different experiences. I think a lot of us have, but it also probably helps to have then that family support background, and maybe that can also help you, attain sovereignty. So long as you do, like you understand who you are. Right? I think it's depending on what you're surrounded by, the people you're surrounded by, the information you receive. I think that's really important. Like, there's a lot of great speakers on the summit, not just yourself. But like, yeah, your information is fantastic, and everybody's sharing is something that's so essential, so crucial that if somebody were to
absolutely,
listen to all these talks, I mean, it's like they're getting a real heavy dose of I mean, medicine, frankly, because we have spirit, we have passion, we care about what we're talking about. We're not just saying
absolutely,
it. And I could
exactly.
see it. I just want to say thank you for what you've done and for why you've
No problem, no
putting this out.
problem. Absolutely, it's my moral obligation to do this. Um, oh, is another thing. Whenever evil is not necessary until people understand that evil is not necessary. Okay, there's no necessity for evil to exist. Period. Okay. If you know something is evil and it's bad, and you're not doing anything to speak against it, you are the problem.
Mm.
Okay,
You're
you are
complicit.
contributing to this. You are complicit to the evil that is happening in this world, and if you're keeping your mouth shut, you are the problem. Period. It doesn't matter whether you know everything. You can know everything. You can be as knowledgeable as you want. Okay, you know everything, but you're doing nothing with the knowledge that you know. Okay, you're the problem. You're complicit. You're doing nothing to end the system of slavery, to stop the injustice of the system. Period. You know what I'm saying? And people, unfortunately, people in the freedom movement don't want to hear that. That's why you see a lot of chicken shit cowards writing in your comment section and thinking, oh, you should do this, you should do that, but they do nothing themselves. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? And very frustrating sometimes.
Oh,
But
I
yeah,
totally feel you on that. You're right. There's a lot of people who comment and you look up their name and you don't see anything with their name online.
nothing.
They're
Yeah,
not putting out like if they have such a strong opinion, such a strong view. Well, why aren't they sharing that with people if they think it's so important?
exactly.
So and when we talked about limited government, essentially this whole notion of limited slavery, like can you limit slavery? It's like no, it's either slavery or it isn't. You're right. Like it just doesn't really make sense. Like you can go to another
Exactly.
plantation but you're still a slave. You can get a new slave master but you're still a slave. You can make the conditions better but you're still a slave. And I like how you said responsibility is like really core, because something I like to say is like you need responsibility for ownership and ownership for sovereignty. And sovereignty is the end of slavery, right? It's owning yourself.
Absolutely.
So so let's kind of if you don't mind, let's delve kind of into action for individuals. And is there any particular actions you would recommend people do, maybe on the individual level and then the collective level? Is there any actions that you don't see being done that you would like to be seen?
I mean, people need to come together. They need to work upon themselves and the personal trauma, understanding this principle, apply them to put them into true manifestation and put that out to in reality. Not to think about themselves every day. Think about other people as well. Be kind. If you see somebody is struggling, help. Give some advices. Work upon yourself. Don't do some meditation sometimes. Okay. um don't listen what other people say about you. Whether if you know something is wrong, speak against it, speak about it. Okay, don't just stand there and let evil take over. No, you need to speak against evil and stop it, period. You know what I'm saying? People need to they need to start standing up against the forces of evil before it's too late. And another thing is, people need to stop buying into the ego identification, okay, of race, color, sex, gender, whatever, and nationality, all that garbage. Your masters are laughing at it and they give you all of this. We are all human beings, okay? It doesn't matter whether you're white, black, Hispanic, Asian. That's a bloody matter, okay? We are here for a true cause, which is human freedom. Period. Okay? We are enslaved. Everyone on this planet is enslaved. There is not such a thing as a race is not enslaved and the other ones are enslaved. Okay, you are enslaved. Period. And we have to all come together, understand the government is slavery, and try to end it. We have two ways to do it. Either we stop complying with the system, and we do it through knowledge, and people truly wake up to a deep level and start applying this knowledge to real life, and or we're gonna have to do it by force. Okay, because these people, they're not gonna stop until we end it, because they are primary psychopaths. Okay, psychopaths, they have no emotion. They don't care if anybody's hurt unless you stop them physically. Period. You put them on the ground. Okay, that's it.
So by
That's what I
force, I
think.
mean you're not necessarily meaning violence, right? You by force you
But
mean like
there's no violence. We're not initiating violence by force. We have the right to do it because we've been coerced, you know,
oh, right. So there's violence being done upon us, so we are
upon
basically
us.
defending
Exactly.
ourselves. Yeah,
Yeah,
so I mean, we're standing our ground, right? We don't have to like necessarily take arms to the state and just like we're taking our government back. We don't have to do that, right?
exactly.
um,
Yeah, people don't want to hear that.
mm. So I would like to hear now. Let's share with the audience like your experience, how you got to where you are. This is a question I like to ask a lot of people. You know how like there's compilations online of like, oh, X this, X that, or oh, I'm like, there's like compilations of people and their transformations or whatever. But I'm interested in how long were you a statist? And by statist, I mean a believer in a government or a believer in this slavery that we're talking about. How long were you a statist, and how did you get out of that?
Look, since I was a child, I never believed in politics, okay? It was garbage to me anyway. And I was raised from a very religious family, okay? Because in Africa, in many third world country, people are very religious. They have a religious mindset, okay? And my parents, since I was a child, they tried to inculcate religious mindset into me.
Hmm,
And until I went to live with my so-called family members in Texas, okay, yeah, that's where I understood what the world is like and how evil the system is. But I was not really conscious of it. Okay, yeah, I was never a hardcore statist, okay, but I was not knowledgeable about how the system really works. I was quite ignorant. I still ate meat. um I still believe in a lot of erroneous belief. I was a more relativist, still believe in uh, many erroneous belief and garbage that was thrown at me, and I bought it. Okay, and whenever the so-called pandemic started, that's what woke me up a lot
hmm,
to many things, and I started to understand. Wow, we are in a big mess because the problem is many people will just see the pandemic and say, "Oh, people who don't buy in the pandemic, they're awakened, they got everything." When in point of fact, it's not. It goes beyond that. It goes very deep. And people, that's the problem with most truthers, most people in the freedom movement. They don't understand how deep the rabbit hole goes. Okay, and once you start to understand how deep the rabbit hole goes, you'll be horrified in understanding that most human beings are not even there. They're not even into the conspiracy level of understanding. They're very ignorant about the dynamic of the world, how the system really works. Okay,
yeah,
and you be horrified. I was very sad, horrified when I started understanding. Wow, government is slavery. We are a slave species. We are enslaved. I'm currently reading a book. Have it with me. By It's called "The Slave of the Species." Okay, if
hmm,
you see it, the Slave Species of the God by Michael Tellinger. Great book, and it basically talks about the intervention theory, about human beings being created by these beings who came on this planet 1,000 years ago. Okay, how we got here, and he's explaining everything. Okay, and I advise a lot of people to read this book. Okay,
yeah,
and
yeah. Wow.
his name is Michael Tellinger, the slave species of the god. And when I found out that we are enslaved as a species, we're not free. That everything we've been taught was a lie, was a deception, and that most people don't even know this.
Hmm,
That's really sad. And I see them every day. Most people are very ignorant. They're still living in their life into a selfish mindset, and people talking about, oh, there is a great awakening happening. You're delusional, quite frankly. There is no great awakening happening. People are even more ignorant than 10 years ago. I can explain you something, and then I'll let you talk. I was exposed to the conspiracy theories when I was 15 years old. Okay, when I came in the U.S. in Texas. Okay, one of my cousins showed me many videos about the so-called Illuminati. Okay, about there was a video about Jordan Maxwell explaining all this. I didn't know it was Jordan Maxwell until I understood all this system. Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
and he showed me about the conspiracy theories about the system of slavery we live in. It's a system of slavery that these people control everything. They control the monetary system, this priest class or dark occult sorcerers who run everything. They control everything. And at that time, a few people, many people start to understand that both parties were puppets, with George Bush being a Skull and Bones member, with John Kerry as well being a Skull and Bones member, and people started to understand, oh, both parties are the same. You know, they were not really polarized right now until they elected Donald Trump, and that's how the polarization was brought in, and people are buying to left wing, right wing politics, and yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, it's
I was
interesting.
never. Yeah,
You were never really a statist, yeah. So, I mean, I was questioning things too, I would say, and I don't know if we have a similar birthday, but, I know you said you're 22 now, which, might shock a lot of people, because that's, that's pretty young, and,
very
I'm
young. Yeah,
21, I'm gonna be 22, I think, next month from when we make this, but,
yeah.
I don't know if maybe your birth
2000 same.
Yeah, are you 2000 too?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Of
Awesome,
course. Yeah,
awesome. Wow, that's really cool. Chinese Year of the Dragon, but we need the new
yeah,
generation to kind of understand this, right? It's really essential, and I'm glad to hear somebody who is really understanding that, and it's cool to see that, and also the fact that we can talk across the world, and
yeah.
share
The
this
world,
knowledge.
absolutely.
It's just it's just amazing to me still to this day. And I similarly around 15 to 16 I was starting to question things, and then later on, once I like became 18, like I started really getting deep into natural law and these subjects. And so, COVID hit around 2019, late 2019, and then 2020, and still to this day,
Exactly.
we're dealing with this narrative. um,
Believable.
it's going to leave a mark on humanity just because of how long humanity has put up with it. It's our choice.
Yeah,
Ultimately, it's like the same thing as slavery. It's like it could have ended quicker, but it took time for humanity to evolve to really wake up and say, no, we can't do this anymore. And so many abolitionists who are at first like, should the slave self-defend himself and free himself from the master? We don't want to promote violence. But like, once they started seeing that the slaves were freeing themselves, they're like, this is pretty courageous. Like, they couldn't deny, like,
yeah,
it was something that the slave had to do to free themselves. And you know they saw the Civil War happen, and none of them wanted the war, and the government stepped in and
exactly.
said, oh well, we're the victor, we freed the slaves, we're super moral, we're a great nation. And all the abolitionists are like, we didn't want a war, we're the ones who caused this whole
Exactly.
revolution, like, of ideology, of morality. And the government turned morality into a legal issue. It turned into legality, like,
Exactly.
so.
Yeah.
And that's why we're still here in this scenario. It's like we still don't understand what the abolitionists were like telling us. I mean, it's crazy.
Very, very sad. Yeah. This is how after it was after the Civil War in 1871, they created the U.S. corporation. Okay, there is a difference between USA, which is the true sovereign nation of the United States of America, the sovereign people of the United States of America. Okay, and then you have the US, the corporate citizen. Okay, it's different. People don't know that. Most people don't know that the corporate world, which is still given by the Satanists who run this planet. Okay, which is part of the core of the conspiracy level. When in point five goes beyond that, and many people don't understand the founding father writings and many of this. And they wanted to give you that the manual, even though I'm not denying them, some of them were slave masters. Nobody said they were not slave masters. Some of them they weren't, okay?
Yeah.
Some of them they were very against slavery.
Right.
And they threatened, we're not gonna sign the Declaration of Independence if you're not freeing the slaves. If you read some of the writings, okay? And people don't want to hear that, okay? Not all of them were slave masters like the garbage Marxist agenda want you to believe, okay? Why do you think they're giving you firearms, the right to defend yourself with guns? Eh? Do you think they were immoral people? They obviously they didn't go all the way, but they were a very good understanding of how the system really works. And they were warning people
Yeah.
about this, not just America, but every country on earth. Okay,
Mhm.
uh, people don't want to hear that. Yeah,
It's a
I have
moral
I have
revolution.
immoral. Yeah, it's a moral revolution, a revolution against slavery and a revolution for freedom. Okay, and I have great respect for the United States. For 4 years of my life that I lived there, I even graduated there. Great respect for Americans, even though a lot of people there are very brainwashed. But you guys have something that many people don't have.
Mm.
You still have got firearms. Okay, this is still makes me angry when I look at people in the UK and Europe. I'll tell you an anecdote. I tried to apply for a gun license here in England 2 months ago in May. I wanted to buy myself a Smith and Wesson M&P 1522 semi-automatic barrel rifle for me. Okay, and I started asking myself how to do it, and I went online and I got all the answers, and I found out that we have to go to the police station website to apply for a gun ownership, for a gun license. I was like, damn, really? I say, no way. This is why Europe is fucked up.
Mm.
And I understand why Americans don't want to give up the guns. And you
Yeah.
you you do the right thing. I would do the same thing. People here in England, they see Americans as barbarians when they see, oh, Americans have guns. Oh, thank God we don't have guns here in the UK. Yeah, wait and see until the military comes here with a semi-automatic battle rifle to your face and you are disarmed. And what are you gonna do? Now you're gonna crap your pants. When you point of fact your compatriots Americans over there have firearms over there to defend themselves. Okay, then you see how I know this because I lived in Texas. I've seen people holding guns with my own two eyes.
So, yeah, I like the fact that like we're kind of also hitting on the root cause, like because corporations. I like the fact you mentioned that was created after the Civil War, like because also Abraham Lincoln changed the meaning of people to persons, and there was a bunch of other things that happened behind the scenes that are just little tricks
Exactly.
within the system that people don't realize were tricks. And so I applaud you to for sharing all this knowledge, and that book too I think was a pretty good resource to share for the summit, since it's kind of pertaining to the topic. um, and if you
Yeah.
have any other resources you recommend for people, you can let them know because we're about at the hour mark. But I appreciate for having you
No
here
problem.
and sharing kind of like the root cause to the problem, because although we kind of delved into some other problems toward the end, like we still realize that morality is the core here. Like that is what
Is the
we're
core, yeah,
focusing on.
exactly.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
people can find me on YouTube, BitChute, and Odyssey by the name of Axel Dahi. Okay, you can find me there. I have a YouTube channel, Axel Dahi. You see my face, and I have a Odyssey channel as well, and BitChute channel as well, but all by the same name, Axel Dahi. Okay, you can find me there. And yeah,
Great.
and great to talk to you, Corey. I didn't know you were the same age as me. Wow, that's very impressive because too few people are our today's generation is very ignorant.
Mm-hmm.
People are going out partying. I'm not saying not to have fun for myself. Tomorrow I'm going on vacation for 2 weeks, going to Portugal and then Italy to see my family over there. You know, you can enjoy life, of course, but when it comes to true issues, you need to activate and put the word out to stop the injustice that taking place on this world. You
Mm-hmm.
know, great conversation. I really enjoyed
Yeah.
today's topics. Great
I
chat
definitely
today.
appreciate it. Like your energy is very nice. This I
Thank
appreciate
you.
that. So his name is Axel Dahi, everybody. So Axel, and then last name is Dahi, and you'll see all his links and downloadable resource. Be sure to check it out. And find him on all the different platforms as you mentioned. Thank you everybody for watching. If you want to see a lot more speakers like this, go to nita.one/summit. nita.one/summit. This is the end of Slavery Summit. Thank you very much for watching. Take care.
No problem. Take care. See you later.